Our key life point for today. We are looking at three expressions of life that we can find in the Garden of Eden. First, the Word of life, breath of life, and the tree of life. Our focus today is going to be on the Word of life. So I want you to go with me to the book of Genesis, the book of beginnings, and I want you to find chapter 1, verse 20. And it says, "And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." I want to put our focus on God speaking to the waters. God speaking a word to the vast, massive waters. Empty space. Empty space. I want you to think about the empty space even in your own life. God has words of life that he will speak into the empty spaces of creation. In this case, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 20, it says that he spoke to the waters and that the waters brought forth abundantly. He spoke to the empty waters, waters that did not have any living creatures in them. And after God spoke life into the waters, they brought forth abundantly. I want you to use that as an illustration in regards to how God can speak into the vast, massive, empty craters of our own life. Those places in our life where we don't sense any fulfillment. Those places in our life that appear to be spiritually empty. I'm encouraging you right now to hear God speak into those areas of your life where you have unfulfilled dreams and desires. So let's talk about that. How God can speak into your empty spaces. Many of us have desires, dreams, things that we are still waiting for fulfillment, waiting to come to pass. And perhaps in waiting, you sense that that emptiness is just overwhelming. And I want us to recognize that God has the word of life, that he will speak into those specific empty areas. Those areas where you don't have your dreams fulfilled. Those areas where your ambitions are still on hold. Those areas where you have that sense of unfulfillment. God has the ability to speak a word of life that will bring forth, and I want you to notice that word, abundantly. The waters represent the greatest volume or mass that exists in God's creation. There's more water on planet Earth than there is what we would call terrestrial ground. We have more water that occupies the globe that we live on than we have for the dust and dirt that cover the grounds. And that water represents the volume of empty space that initially existed. And God had to speak a word into that emptiness. Your emptiness, my emptiness, that appears to be so massive, the emptiness that actually would outmeasure the rest of our life. God has the ability to speak into our empty spaces, our empty places in life, and speak a word that will bring forth abundantly. This scripture, verse 20, fascinated me because in speaking that word to the waters, it says that it brought forth life abundantly, in great abundance. As a matter of fact, the greatest or the largest sea creatures were given birth because God spoke a word into the seas, a word into the waters. The great water mammals, if you will, that exist in the seas. God spoke that word and produced the great whales, the great water life, the marine life that we see, and not just great in size in regards to one creature, but also great in volume. There is more living life in the waters than we have living on the ground. There are still undiscovered regions inside the depths of the waters where life actually exists. Here's where I'm going with this. In our life, those areas that appear to be unfulfilled, those dreams and ambitions that appear to be unwhole, unreachable, one word from God speaking into our life can bring forth great abundance, not just in size, but in quantity.